Hi guys, I thought I'd just do a quick video which looks at the August Sturgeon full moon, so it's the second Aquarius full moon, and in relation to the Bitcoin chart, because I did post something on my Astro Insights blog last month about how this upcoming moon is probably going to be very good for Bitcoin, and I haven't had a chance to actually write an analysis, so I thought let me just do this quickly and then put it on social media. And yes, so we've got the chart here. And the inside of the chart is the Bitcoin chart, and then the sort of surrounding chart is the full moon. So I'll just make them different colors so that they're easier to see, I think. Where is my... There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to change the proportion. Yeah, there we go. Okay, great stuff. So let's make this full screen. And yeah, so you can see that the sun in Leo is kind of in the late degrees of Leo, and it's about to move into Virgo, but it's in the second house, which is always about kind of value and worth. So it can affect the Bitcoin price, and of course the sun is the ruler of the chart, so this could directly impact price. So I kind of think that potentially this could go one of two ways. It could be that we see a brief kind of rise in price, which we have been seeing over the last couple of days. Actually, Bitcoin's gone up about 6% in the last week, and then when the sun enters Virgo, which is 1 degree later, in fact it happens later tonight, we could see a slight retracement in terms of price, because Virgo tends to be a little bit more parsimonious with their money, and they rule everything that's small. So it could be that price retraces a little bit. But initially we've got this amazing trine to the Bitcoin Mars, and its Mars Pluto conjunction. So this does kind of bode quite well. This is in the 5th house of speculation. So again, if you are playing the futures market or anything like that, you're probably going to do well. And then on top of that, the Mars Pluto conjunction is making a sextile to the Venus for the chart, which is in the 8th house. So this is very often to do with like MicroStrategy and trusts, Bitcoin trusts. So these are investment vehicles where third parties invest on behalf of investors. So again, this looks very, very positive. We've got the moon and Jupiter sitting on the Venus of the chart, and of course Jupiter tends to expand things. The moon is sometimes people, so it could be that there are more investors kind of flooding into the market and wanting to invest in sort of investment vehicles. But needless to say, definitely Moon Jupiter is about expansion, and it's about 8th house expansion. But this could also be potentially, with the opposition here, this could also be potentially opposition from, regulators who want to tax, because the 8th house can be about taxes and sort of institutions like banks or the government and that kind of thing. So it can be a bit of a two-edged sword. I'm trying to think what else is kind of going on. So we've also got Uranus here in the 10th house, and Uranus is of course the ruler of the descendant. So this has to do with more the Bitcoin community and those people that are kind of long-term investors in Bitcoin. And it's interesting because the Uranus is making a trine to the natal sun for the Bitcoin chart here in the 6th house. So I kind of feel as though the community is probably feeling very positive, that things are kind of working out as they should. Everything seems to be kind of reverting back to normal cycle patterns and so on, and that everything's working, because the sun in the 6th house is all about kind of work and health. So I think generally speaking, it looks as though Bitcoin is in a healthy place, and that's how the Bitcoin community is sort of generally going to be feeling quite positive about where Bitcoin is kind of going from here. Now Jupiter, Uranus is heading for a set of conjunctions between itself and Mercury here. You can see Mercury and Mars are both in Virgo. Mars is still in the 2nd house with the sun, and Mercury is in the 3rd house of communication and of kind of ideas and exchanges. So we've had the trine between Mercury and Uranus. You can't see it here because it's a transit chart, but there you can see that Uranus is at 14 degrees and Mercury's at 18. So Mercury's coming off of the trine that we had on Friday to Uranus, and Mars is now applying to this beautiful trine, which is also going to perfect today, the 22nd of August. So this can really sort of ramp things up. It could also really speed things up. We could see a rapid rise in price, or just developments kind of happening that push Bitcoin's future in a very positive direction. Now, if we think that Mars in this particular chart rules the midheaven of the chart, then we are talking about some definite optimism amongst kind of Bitcoin supporters and maximalists about the future kind of direction of travel for Bitcoin, and its future looking very bright. So a lot of kind of optimism there. And as I say, with Mars tends to accelerate. It can also be, if we kind of think about it, Mars and Mercury are coming together in a conjunction, which will happen in a couple of days after this full moon, and the two together are quite direct, and we tend to kind of get very, I think things will become very clear, possibly in the next couple of days, as to the future direction of travel for Bitcoin, because obviously Bitcoin has started to go up again since Jupiter re-entered Aquarius, and everything seems to be kind of looking fabulous, but there's still this kind of niggly point of doubt as to, is Bitcoin going to kind of retrace, because it's just steadily been kind of going up, which is obviously in complete contradiction to the volatility that we saw not so long ago, in kind of May, June and July. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens once Mercury applies, or rather while Mars applies to Mercury, but I do think we'll see a sudden sort of acceleration in price. Now, do bear in mind too that Mercury is coming up to the Saturn for the chart. So Saturn in the 3rd house, and Saturn in this chart rules the 6th and the 7th houses. So there could be some kind of test as to the kind of the health, or the sort of the ideology behind cryptocurrency or DeFi, because of course we are talking about an opposition here between Neptune and Saturn. So something to do with the 9th house, and with the kind of the ideology, if you want, behind Bitcoin, the sort of philosophy of Bitcoin, or the sort of the theory of Bitcoin. So it could be that there's some sort of developments occur that are quite rapid, possibly unexpected, with Uranus in the mix, that lead to a redefinition of the philosophy behind Bitcoin, or what Bitcoin can do, maybe the philanthropic aspects of Bitcoin. Yes, we'll have to kind of see how that unfolds. It might be that some arguments now fall away, and that certain kind of test cases don't really pan out, and then there needs to be a little bit of a revision on some level. But let's see what happens. All I will say is that Saturn does tend to slow things down. So and maybe that's not a bad thing. We don't want a kind of a sort of a parabolic rise in price within a very short space of time, because we know it's just going to go up like a rocket and then crash. So I think that's just sort of something to kind of bear in mind. And also, with the Sun moving into Virgo, it's going to oppose the Venus in the Bitcoin chart, and that could be a little bit destabilizing. So it could affect group dynamics here, Bitcoin's place in the world, for example, with the 11th house being sort of emphasized, and then also the 4th house. So this is kind of the roots, or the kind of like the grassroots community around Bitcoin, its heritage, where it comes from. So there could be kind of connections to, I don't know, Satoshi Nakamoto, or just fundamentals that are being kind of questioned, that kind of bring pause for thought, if you like, or that might bring cause for worry, because Virgo is sometimes a bit of a worrywart, and especially when you're combining Saturn with Mercury in a sign like Virgo in the house of a kind of communication and that kind of thing. There could be a little bit of cause for concern, maybe like a security problem, or maybe the lightning network doesn't sort of work exactly as planned, and then there needs to be sort of more rethinking about that, or I don't know. But Saturn does sometimes throw up roadblocks or serious questions, you know, so just something to bear in mind. But overall, I would say that the moon is very, very positive for Bitcoin. As I say, we've got this wonderful moon Jupiter conjunction over Venus, which is sextiling the Mars Pluto conjunction, and is trining the Sun. So that is all kind of looking very, very positive, certainly in the short term. Mars is usually short-lived, so it's very quick development. So I would say definitely in the next 2 to 3 days, you know, it's looking very, very promising, and then we'll have to kind of see after that what happens as we move into some of the other aspects that are happening over the next couple of weeks, including, you know, as I say, this conjunction between Mercury and Mars, and the developments of Uranus as it turns retrograde. So just something to bear in mind. But yeah, that's kind of it, guys. If you want to know more about what's happening over the next 2 weeks from the point of view of kind of more general astrology, then do check out the forecast that I've done, and we'll be posting I think on Monday from my Twitter account, or else subscribe if you want to get sort of early access via my newsletters and so on.